We are in the process of the Second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be.
Hello. As of early February 2025, there's been a lot of talk about the Trump administration conducting a self-coup or auto-coup, where key institutions are deliberately and unconstitutionally eroded with the intent to centralize power and subvert the separations of power that provide the checks and balances that are core to the American model and democratic process. Now, I don't know if what is happening is an auto-coup or not, but it sure looks like one. Here is what has been happening. In this context, an auto-coup is the action of someone, with their party or not, who has been legally elected, assuming power previously held by the legislature and judiciary. It goes hand in hand with what is called a constitutional coup, where a country's constitution is interpreted in such a way, or where loopholes are used in such a way, to extend executive power and usually their term. So here and now, very simply, some argue that while President Trump was legally elected and is the rightful president, his administration has taken unprecedented actions that would aid in an auto-coup, which could result in Congress becoming functionally irrelevant and the president wielding autocratic, near-total power. On January the 27th, the Office of Management and Budget, acting on Trump's executive orders signed the prior week, issued a memo to pause federal grants and loans, effectively a freeze on most federal spending. Although the memo was rescinded on the 29th, the effort by the administration to freeze federal spending continues in the courts. Trump wants power over federal spending, which constitutionally is controlled by Congress. Not only does this contravene the Constitution, but also the Congressional Budget and Impoundment Control Act of 1974. It's important here because, if successful, seizing the power of the purse would neuter Congress. Even if their ability to pass and amend legislation remains intact, the executive branch could fund or defund whatever entities they want without oversight or debate. Essentially, the power to pass, rescind, or amend laws or acts is meaningless without the ability to fund the enforcement and means of these laws and acts. Just prior to this, on the 24th of January, Trump fired at least 17 inspectors general from federal agencies. IGs are meant to be independent watchdogs that conduct unbiased investigations into their agencies to stop and expose corruption, ethics violations, conflicts of interest, and general malfeasance. And by law, the President must give Congress both a 30-day notice and a reason for their firings. Trump did not. At the same time, the Associated Press reported that Trump's White House has been ideologically screening even low-level job applicants, not just looking for conservatives, but specifically those who can prove loyalty to Trump himself. The inspectors general, the loyalty test, and Trump's nominees to political appointments, who he himself has said he wants to be loyal above all else, might well suggest not just the removal of dissent, but the imposition of yes-men who will follow Trump's orders regardless of legality, or whether they are in the best interests of the country, or whether they violate the Constitution. A big part of this is the idea that Washington and these federal agencies are corrupt and that they need pruning big time. And that may well be the case. But Trump is acting unilaterally, without congressional oversight, unconstitutionally, and with complete disregard for the separations of power. He has appointed Elon Musk, the world's richest man and Trump's largest donor, to head the Department of Government Efficiency, formerly the Department of Digital Service. DOGE is meant to be temporary, and Elon Musk's actual title is unclear, although his direct involvement is not. He appears to have no official authority, no official security clearance, and has not been involved in any sort of confirmation hearings. He has been spearheading Trump's gutting of numerous federal agencies. For example, Musk has placed an employee of his company XAI, Amanda Scales, as the Chief of Staff of the Office of Personnel Management, which controls government hiring. The AP reports that an employee of Twitter, also one of Musk's companies, Nicole Hollander, has embedded at the General Services Administration, where she is apparently overseeing the termination of the leases on 7,500 federal offices nationwide. On the 4th of February, CNN reported that Musk proxies were seen at the FBI headquarters. Trump has fired dozens of senior federal employees at the FBI and DOJ, essentially decapitating FBI leadership. According to The Hill, his administration intends to fire possibly thousands of FBI agents, many who were assigned to either investigating January the 6th, or Trump himself, one of his proxies, or high-level corruption generally. DOGE representatives physically took over the USAID headquarters, took away their servers, and have effectively dismantled the agency. Whether the agency needed reform, shuttering, replacement, that was never debated in Congress. There was no public inquiry. But USAID was formed as an act of Congress in 1961, so its unilateral destruction by the executive branch is blatantly anti-constitutional. The argument being made by Elon Musk, and generally from Team Trump, is that no, America didn't vote for Elon Musk, but they did vote for Trump, who promised on the campaign trail that DOGE and Musk would be coming in to make cuts. Therefore, America did vote for this. However, the executive branch does not have the power to undo legislation from Congress. The implicit message on Musk's own Twitter feed is that the executive branch has powers that the Constitution explicitly makes clear it does not have. It's obvious from Musk's Twitter account that he does not think this is temporary. This, the feeding of USAID into a wood chipper, in Musk's own words, came around the same time as DOGE gained access to the Treasury Department and a swathe of sensitive, identifying information, hundreds of millions of Social Security numbers, Medicaid information, and a good amount of financial history. It's not clear what reason DOGE would have for seizing Treasury access in particular, if not to circumvent Congress and put the power to spend and freeze into the executive branch. This, too, is being challenged in the courts, but it's not clear how they could enforce court orders if the Trump administration simply ignores them. There's no precedent for that. In theory, only Congress could censure the president for disobeying court orders via impeachment proceedings. Such proceedings seem like they would be unlikely to succeed. On February the 4th, Reuters reported that the CIA, now under Trump appointee and Project 2025 contributor John Ratcliffe, offered its entire workforce a buyout and froze hiring. Again, constitutionally, the executive branch does not have the power to allocate funds to make this offer. It's not the president's money, it's the people's money, which is the purview of Congress. And this in particular, like a lot of this, in isolation, might not be a huge deal. But altogether, looks like an enormous and coordinated bureaucratic blitzkrieg to undermine state institutions and checks to authoritarianism. The Republicans have the House and the Senate, so why not go through Congress? I would suggest it's a deliberate strategy to overload the opposition and media, and to poke and prod the constitutional fence until a hole is found. As of the 6th of February, It appears that the Trump administration is indeed not complying with the January 31st court order blocking them from freezing federal funding. US District Judge John McConnell, who issued the order, said that he is ready to take action to enforce the plain language of the order and has scheduled a hearing for February the 21st to determine whether he should issue a longer preliminary injunction. But by then, who knows what else the courts will have to deal with. Currently, the administration is preparing an executive order to abolish the Department of Education, which again, only Congress legally has the power to do. And as I said at the beginning, I'm not saying definitively that this is an auto-coup, just that it looks a lot like one, a lot like some very famous historical examples of self-coups. Even if you agree with what President Trump is doing, it's very hard to get the toothpaste back in the tube. If he can act unconstitutionally and do what he wants, then so can the next person who is president. And they might not be all smiles and sunshine. I'm sure things will become a lot clearer soon. Thanks for watching, and until then, good luck.